This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. We come to you regular with short business episodes, short private equity episodes, interviews with business and private equity leaders, sometimes profiles on leaders. So we've got one coming out today on Jeff Bezos, another one coming out soon on Jamie Dimon. We'll have one soon on James Patterson, the award-winning or prolific author, and then sometimes irreverent episodes that are just good fun. Today, we're talking about 10 stories that we're following today, and here we go. We'll get through this very quickly for those that are on the go. First, the market's point significantly down today after a great run the last couple of weeks. You've got some economists and Fed officials saying not so quick on interest rate reductions. We'll see how that goes. You've got the one-year Treasury yield up a little bit up today, and you've got ultimately the market down today. Second, Ford Motor Company up 18% year to date. I don't know if anybody's driven their Bronco Sport. Jeep, I wanted to buy another Jeep Cherokee, but they've discontinued that line, which is so insane to me because I love that car. They only want the bigger Jeep Grand Cherokee. Ford Motor Company up 18% year to date, and we'll look at that Ford Bronco Sport. We'll see if we like it. Third, Amazon's expecting a record Prime Day. The stock is up 27% year to date. Amazon's second in overall revenues to Walmart. It's fifth in market cap. Apple is again regaining the top spot as number one in market cap. Amazing. Fourth, mega author James Patterson has a new book out on Tiger Woods. It's amazing what James Patterson has accomplished. We'll have a separate discussion of James Patterson, but he's making like $80 million a year as the most prolific author of all time. Amazing what he's done. Fifth, Benzinga had a report today on what it takes to be the top 1%, 5%, and 10% by net worth per household. The top 1%, 11.6 million. The top 5%, 3.8 million. And the top 10%, 970,000. Sixth, Charles Schwab took it on the chin yesterday, dropped more than 10%. In terms of ease of use, at one point I had a Schwab account. I found Fidelity and Vanguard a lot easier to use. Obviously, people love Alliance Bernstein and my buddy there as well, but we found it's also very hard to navigate, and thus ended up with our money largely at Fidelity, Vanguard, and some other places. Seventh, we have a few spots left at the JP Morgan Healthcare Finance Fireside Chat that I'll be moderating Wednesday the 24th at Wildfire in Glenview, Illinois. If you want to join this, text Scott Becker 773-766-5322 and love to have you join us. Eighth, United Healthcare, for all the discussion of them losing more money from this hack than expected, rose 6.5% yesterday. Ninth, Bank of America rose 5.3% yesterday. It keeps on rocking and rolling. And finally, 10th, JP Morgan Chase is now up more than 25% year to date. Again, we'll have a separate podcast on Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan. Amazing what he's done. A couple quick PSs. Elon Musk moving SpaceX and Twitter /X to Texas from California. Fascinating. And we're always thrilled to report just a phenomenal month of podcast downloads at Becker Private Equity. The last thing I'll note, a discussion yesterday about this Joe Biden rent control policy. We try to be as nonpartisan as possible. Rent control policies are one of the worst economic things you could do. We have an undersupply of housing by 5 to 7 million units in the big cities in the nation. The more that you add on rent controls, the less people invest in those areas. It is really dumb policy. It sounds good for a moment. We used the analogy yesterday. It's like when you feel like it's rain, it feels good until you realize it's somebody's pissing on your leg. It's an old phrase, but the concept being rent control, bad policy, even if it sounds good at first. I just wanted to clarify the discussion on that yesterday. Some people had said, oh my God, you're too nice about President Biden. I said something like, I want to love Joe Biden, but I hate these policies. And that was the discussion. So just to clarify further, again, rent control, bad. Anything that gets in the way of true supply to meet the demand, bad. Rent control is a horrendous idea. It leads to all kinds of perversions in the business model and so forth and so on. In any event, thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. I know that was a lot. Feel free at any time to text Scott Becker 773-766-5322 with any ideas or thoughts you have or stories you want to talk about. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast.